And a good Friday, everybody. Welcome in. Chasing Big Joe, 1025 The Game. No Big Joe today. He did mornings. He's got dad duty today, which we always support. So Dr. Crane Nick Frazier has moved into the studio and is hanging out with me today. And Brandon Bigsby behind the glass on the ones and twos. What's up, Nick?
Hello. This is like I think show number 2 between you and I on the.
I know it's hard to believe like it works out that way, but yeah, it is. And you're on the air today. You got weekend huddle tomorrow, and then you and Connor are gonna fill in for Jake on Monday. So
and then Tuesday,
yeah,
and then Thursday, Friday with Joe. So
yeah, a lot of Nick Frazier. So will be fun. But we got a big show planned for you today. Chris Sanders will join us at 1:00. Greg Wyshynski usually on Thursdays will be today. Sean Henry at 2:30. As the Predators have a really big weekend, as they're in Colorado tonight to take on the Avalanche. Vegas tomorrow to take on the Golden Knights, is coming off a big win against Edmonton the other night. So looking forward to that weekend. The Titans coaching search still underway, as reports are they've kind of taken a little bit of a breath after missing out on John Harbaugh. But and that's kind of where I want to start, as we look at, and we'll give our final four. I know Kuharski has reported that they're going to go to the second round of interviews and bring in like 3 or 4 candidates. Mike McCarthy's scheduled to be here on Saturday. I think they're supposed to talk to Robert Saleh Sunday night virtually, because they can't bring him in person until he's eliminated, which could happen this weekend. Who knows? But, how do we view the Final Four? What is their Final Four? But I think the thing that people need to pay attention to is the reports are the Titans brass, which included Amy Adams Strunk, were ready to get on a plane, go to Baltimore, and give him a very strong offer, which tells you that they were prepared to pay him $18 to $20 million a year to come be the head coach of this team, which should tell you that, hey, all this thought of they're cheap, they don't want to do things the right way, that mindset seems to be changing.
Yeah, and it starts with the message of how many guys that they've brought in as head coach candidates. Like the whole Jason Garrett thing on Sunday Night Football saying this is a great job, for national media to all say this is the Titan, it's the best job on the planet Earth type thing. That's something to add to the equation. Now, the only thing that hesitates me to think this way is if the Titans go and see John Harbaugh sign for $20 million a year and say it's 5 years of what it's projected. Hopefully the Titans see that as, yes, that sets the market, but we shouldn't have to overpay for the next head coach on the market.
Yeah, and look, you don't want to see them overpay, but at the same time, you want to see them invest and get the right guy, which in turn gets the right staff that can develop this team, because you have some young pieces in place, a young core that you're trying to put together. You want to improve that core via the draft. But that's got to be the goal. And I go back to last year when we talked about, all right, what does, Brian Callahan, when evaluating him, and I would go and say record matters, but also doesn't matter. Is the team getting better? And they got to a point this year where they viewed Cam Ward as not getting better and the team was not getting better, and they made a coaching change. The record still was 3-14. But I think we can agree that the team did show signs. The young players showed signs of improvement. You got to build off that and then actually put together some wins with this new staff. And so I think they recognize, and Mike Borgonzi recognizes, that this is, a good job and that they want to get this right. I find it funny when I read a narrative that, oh, well, he's a 3-14 GM, so he must suck, which I think that's a lazy argument to have. I think you have to look at the bigger picture that, yes, they are 3-14, but the team did play better under Mike McCoy. Can't argue that. You got to build a better roster. The draft class, yes, I have massive questions on the second round pick, but overall I'm seeing some good things on everything else. So I'm not going to sit here and say the guy sucks because he's 3-14 when you're not looking at everything in full context.
Yeah, the assessment is not complete yet. And that's a great point you mentioned about the Titans and how they changed just the way they approached the games in the second half of the season when they made that coaching change under, Mike McCoy is that guy going forward for them the rest of the season. That is, you see how the offense transitioned from pass first to run first. And it makes me wonder if that's the direction maybe Mike Morganzi takes for the draft, is maybe you go for a more run first style team, and meaning like those later rounds, you go grab your guards, your tackles, and so forth, where you can kind of supplement picks that way.
Yeah.
Whereas where, those juicy picks, those first and second round, maybe even third round, fringe third round, you go grab your playmakers.
I am infatuated by Ruben Bain, like infatuated. And if they walked away with him at 4, I would be over the moon. I am also very intrigued by Jeremiah Love. Now, I think a lot of people would be pissed that they took a running back at 4 overall, and I don't think they should take a running back at 4 overall. But if they found a dance partner, were able to trade back to 10, 11, somewhere in there, and Love fell to them, I don't hate it. Because again, look at things through John Harbaugh's eyes. Did he ultimately look at the young core of the Giants, Jackson Dart, Malik Neighbors, and Cam Scatteraboo, and think, okay, and not to mention the other pieces, I think that's stronger than currently Cam Ward, Alec Iomanor, Chim DK, and then an aging running back.
No.
And I get that. If he's looking at it from that stance, I get that. But you also have $100 million in cap space and a high draft pick that you can build on.
Right. And I don't understand why Harbaugh would want to go into the direction of the Giants rather than the Titans. Because if it were me looking at jobs to go for, Titans 100% are a better job than the Giants right now. Simple as that. And you look at, like you just mentioned, the $100 million. The one factor that draws me into why Harbaugh may have chose the Giants over the Titans is simply the division that he's in. And you're going up against Dallas Cowboys, the Eagles, obviously the Giants are already there, and then you have the Washington Commanders. Those are 3 teams that are beatable every single week you go into a Sunday matchup. Whereas for the Titans, you're in the AFC South, and Houston's pretty good right now.
Yep.
Jacksonville's pretty good right now. And the Colts, they're hit or miss, but they always compete at a high level. Obviously, all teams do in the NFL.
This division got better.
Exactly. So if you're Harbaugh, you're thinking, why not go grab $20 million somewhere else?
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. You can call or text 615-737-1025 is our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Justin says, I'd be a liar if I said I didn't want Harbaugh, but I am kind of glad they didn't land him. Go get a guy that has experience but hasn't proven it at a previous spot and let them come in hungry to win with a young team. I don't think that's a terrible mindset to have. I do think they can get a good coach. I think there are good coaches available. And there's some I love more than others, but I think you're going to have the ones that the fan base is going to go, oh no. Like if they announce Mike McDaniel, I think a lot of people are going to go, oh no. But there's some intrigue. Whereas those same people will be like, oh hell yeah, if they brought him in as the OC. McCarthy probably has a little bit of the same. Nagy has a little bit of that. But again, I just think there's something to be said about a guy getting another chance. And, McCarthy, this would be number 3. He's won a Super Bowl. He's gotten teams to the playoffs. I mean, he's won. It's just that postseason record, I think, drives people nuts. But he won a Super Bowl. That should count for something.
Yeah, and if you look at McCarthy's time with the Cowboys, I give him a little extra credit when it comes to evaluating a franchise and a head coach in that direction. It's just Jerry Jones and that whole front office is very similar to Amy Adams Strunk in this structure with the Titans. And that's one guy that has dealt with the chaos of a front office. And you could also incorporate a few other candidates like a Robert Saleh that's been on a lot of people's list, the top of their list for some time now. But I think giving Mike McCarthy more of an extra credit in that aspect, I think he'd be one of those front runners that says, maybe I can turn this around quicker rather than later.
Yeah. 615-737-1025. Our question of the day, we're going to have some fun with this. I'm not necessarily saying a one-hit wonder. I'm just saying, what is a band or a group or a musical artist that you would want to see live based simply on one song? And what's the song? Like, what band would you want to go see because of one song? 615-737-1025, and our question of the day is presented by Aries Tactical. Your safety, your skill, your Aries Tactical. First-time shooters shoot for free. Just tell them that I, Chase McCabe, sent you. Check them out at ariestactical.com.
Bang, bang.
Bang, bang.
There you go.
Do you have one?
I do. Cutting Crew, Died in Your Arms. I think that'd be a pretty good one to see live. And
I just died in your arms tonight.
And it's not personally my favorite song. It's more my youngest cousin Christian. He's at Auburn right now. Shout out to my aunt and uncle driving down there. But it's just funny. It's his song. Every holiday when we get the family around, he's the one singing it. It's just a funny get together. It brings good memories to the brain.
All right, mine, and this is what inspired this question of the day because it came on. And it's simply Josie's on vacation far away.
Yes.
Come around and talk it over. So many things that I want to say. You know, I like my girls a little bit older. Your Love by The Outfield. I would go see The Outfield just to hear this song.
Spot on.
Because it's just like, it just fires you up every time, like at the very beginning. You know, it's just like, boom, comes at you.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I'm with you, Chase. I think a lot of these songs, especially coming from that 80s, 70s vibe, puts you in a good feel, you know, just bumps you up for the day.
Now, I wouldn't pay like hundreds and hundreds of dollars, but like if I found out The Outfield was playing at like a Send amphitheater, but I will go see The Outfield.
Maybe drop.
Why not?
Maybe drop a few Benjamins for that.
Why
right?
not? Why not?
Yeah.
It would be fun. 615-737-1025. 9947 says Creed with the song Higher. That's a good one. And I kind of did that. I saw Creed last year and was like, there were a few songs that they do that I like, but I was waiting, you know, to hear that one. Nevada Josh, Monsters by Shinedown. That's another good one.
Yeah.
Lightning and Thunder by Imagine Dragons as well. That's a good one. 5801, Tina Turner, Simply the Best. Goosebumps just thinking about it. Andrew from Dover, Money for Nothing by Dire Straits. Also
fantastic.
A good one. Kashmir by Led Zeppelin. See, it doesn't have to be a one-hit wonder. It's just like what song is going to draw you to go see the band. 615-737-1025. That's our question of the day. We're up and running. And coming up next, our Final Four, who Nick and I think the Titans should have in their Final Four for the head coach. We'll discuss that here on the Chase and Big Joe Show, presented by the Omni Nashville Hotel on 102.5 The Game. Little Prince, Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game here on this Friday. Good job, Brando. That's some good stuff right there. Our question of the day, you can keep weighing in on. We'll read some answers here in just a little bit. You want to go see a band based on one song. What is the song? What is the band? Doesn't have to be a one-hit wonder. It could be they have a multiple hits, but it's one song that draws you in to go see that band. I said Your Love by the Outfield. I went a little bit of a one-hit wonder, but you don't have to. You said
I said Cutting Crew, Died in Your Arms.
yes.
If I go a different option, I'd have to go with Kiss, Beth.
Oh, and I've seen that live. Like it's
Really?
so good.
Yeah. My
Beth,
youngest
what
uncle,
can I do?
he is a massive Kiss fan.
Yeah.
And that was a song that was on repeat a lot when I was younger. Just that whole Detroit Rock City album was just incredible.
Very, very good album indeed. But our top 4 for the Titans coaching search. Who is in your top 4? Doesn't have to, I mean, we can go in order, I guess, but I would just say the 4 that you want them to focus in on. I'll let you go first.
Sure. If things go well Sunday, I'd say Robert Saleh for me is top of that list. Mike McCarthy, and then you got Matt Nagy to follow with that. I'm on the fence about like Brian Daboll, Mike McDaniel, but if I had to go with 4, it'd probably be McDaniel. And then if Daboll is an option for OC, bring him in.
Okay. I like that. I'm with you on Robert Saleh, Mike McCarthy, for sure. Those two. I will go Kevin Stefanski as well, even though I still think there's a little bit of I kind of need to see more about it. But I definitely am fine with him. And then what was the other one? You said another one.
Brian Daboll,
no,
Mike McDaniel,
no,
Matt Nagy.
Yeah, that was the other one. I would have Matt Nagy in the top 4 just simply because I think he's in the top because of his relationship with Mike Borgonzi.
Yeah, and your point on Stefanski that I kind of like about it is I'd be apprehensive to say the whole quarterback thing that went on this past offseason or this past draft. Dylan Gabriel, Short Sanders, and then obviously you have Deshaun Watson, but he really wasn't in the fold per se, but still on the roster. I really want to understand the true context of that quarterback room, because if you're Kevin Stefanski, you caught some late flame with Shedeur Sanders later on in this past season, but you wonder if that was solely because of Dylan Gabriel not playing well or if it was Shedeur was a better quarterback. I want to know what went into that draft process. So if I'm Borgonzi and I'm asking questions, and if Stefanski is one of those guys that's the top candidate for the second round, I would be asking that question, because right now you have Cam Ward, but say something goes wrong, like injury or something like that. And even Borgonzi's mentioned it about Will Levis. He'll be on the roster next year, no matter, I mean, depending on how they use it, if it's more of a trade asset or if maybe he's a viable backup.
I think he's on the roster in training camp. I don't know if he's on the roster when they start the season.
I
mean, I definitely think now look, I mean, you leave it up to the coach if he thinks that Levis is a viable backup, and because I think Brandon Allen signed a 2-year deal. I could be wrong, but you bring it in, you have a competition. I'm not buying that there would be a competition for the starting job. Cam Ward's the starter, but you have a competition for the backup. And if they feel that Will's going to be a good backup and Will's on board with that, then roll with it. I mean, the dude's got an arm, but if a team calls and is like, hey, we're interested in him, then you listen. I mean, they did it with Malik Willis. Why not with Will Levis? So could certainly be something to look at. I'm curious if everybody else's top 4 for the Titans coaching search, but a lot of you are just weighing in on songs, which is fantastic. But like, does Mike McCarthy come in tomorrow and just blow them away and then go, okay, that he's hungry, he's ready to get back in, he's won a championship, he's got a plan laid out for Cam Ward? Because that's the other thing. Like, if I'm a coach, there's or if I'm the Titans and a coach comes in, there are 2 things that I really want to know. What's your plan for Cam Ward? What does your staff look like? Because I have always, I'm from the school of Floyd Reese. And Floyd said he was always impressed when somebody would come in and like, here you go, here's a plan. And that's what impressed him with Jeff. Jeff had a plan. I think that the coach should select his staff. Now, they may sit down and go, "Hi, this is Bones Fossil. He's your special teams coordinator." Fine. Mike McCarthy knows him, so I don't think that would be an issue. But I think that, he comes in and goes, "Well, look, if Mike McDaniel's out there, like, I think he'd be a good fit as the OC. Or if Raheem Morris is out there, I think he'd be a good fit as the DC. Or I have this guy and this guy, Dayball." I mean, I think if the Titans could land 2 head coaches in this cycle, that would be huge.
It would be. And your point about McCarthy, say if there is those conversations, hey, Raheem Morris is kind of in our cards of being a DC. Would you be okay with that? If McCarthy says no, would that be a deal breaker for you? Say if you were Mike McCarthy, would that be a deal breaker for you if Titans said no, well, we're just going to go our way. We want him as our DC.
Yes. Okay. No, I would look at them and go, how many Super Bowls have you won? That's exactly what I would say.
And if Chad
or I would just hold my hand up with the ring on it. And by the way, wear the ring to the damn interview. I would.
Yeah.
But I got one of these and you don't. So not trying to have a you know what contest right away, but this is his 3rd stop as a head coach. He's won everywhere he's been. I think he should be allowed to pick his staff.
And I'm also wanting to pick your brain about this. When you guys had on Babe Laufenberg last week or the week before, and he talked about Jason Garrett and Mike McCarthy and those similarities of coaches because he's been with the Cowboys. The way he talked about Jason Garrett and how he developed quarterbacks, the Tony Romos, and then eventually the Dak Prescotts.
Mm-hmm.
Is it more of Mike McCarthy kind of capitalizes on somebody else's roster rather than the roster that he kind of builds himself? How do you see that?
So you're saying?
I'm saying McCarthy capitalized on Jason Garrett's
success. Yeah. It's such a different dynamic there in Dallas, though, because how much of it is Jerry? How much of it is Steven? How much of it is the coach? Here it's a little more cut and dry that, that it's the general manager and the coach that are going to be working together. I think what Borgonzi is going to be looking for is what Vrabel and J-Rob had early on here, because that's tradition. That's how it should be, where the GM does have final say on the 53, but the coach is in the room and the coach has a lot of
pull
say on it. Now, I think, if you go back and you listen to the interview we had with John Robinson, John talked about that. If he could go back to some of those conversations, he might have, done them differently. And I think Borgonzi can play off his experience and conversations with Andy Reid and, what people around him had there of, look, if you have a gut feeling on a guy, then go with it. Listen to it, because it's probably telling you something. And, you're going to, I think the next coach, whether it's McCarthy or whoever, is going to have to understand, okay, we're going to agree to disagree on some things. And, especially when it comes to a free agent or a draft or something like that. But I think they're going to work. I think whoever it is, you have to know that you're going to be working side by side, and you got to do it right away.
Yeah, you're spot on. Looking at the candidates, and that's one issue I have with the Robert Saleh. I believe he made a comment, what was it, this past year, within the last year, saying that he wants to do it his way if he became a head coach somewhere. That makes you think it's not technically lockstep with where the Titans are kind of wanting to go, but yet he's still the quality of leader of men quality of a head coach, if that is the case. So that's where I'm kind of torn looking at a Robert Saleh candidate. But as for a Mike McCarthy, I feel like he would be the most fitting for this Titans brass because of the previous history he's had with Dallas.
0134 says Shula must have told the Titans no, he's interviewing with others. Maybe they weren't interested. I don't know. Did they ask him for an interview?
I
feel like they did.
Maybe they did. Again, it goes to the whole point of Borgonzi saying he wants a leader, and I don't know if Shula is a true leader or not. And also, they want somebody. I mean, they've kind of seen it with all the head coaching interviews. They want guys that have been previous head coaches.
Yeah,
Shula hasn't been that.
He has not. 615-737-1025. We'll get more of your calls and texts coming up next. Chasing Big Joe, Nick in for Joe today. 1025 The Game. Chasing Big Joe 1025, the game here on this Friday. Our question of the day: what is a band you would go see based on one song? Can be a one-hit wonder, can be a established band, whatever, but one song draws you to the concert. 615-737-1025. Also taking your top 4 for the Titans coaching search. 6799 answers both questions. He says, I'm pretty in love with the idea of Robert Saleh as the head coach, Mike McDaniel is the offensive coordinator, and Raheem Morris is the defensive coordinator. They all know each other, seem to play nice together, and it'll be a young coaching trio with experience, good fit for a young team. For concert, he says, Robin Trower, Bridge of Sighs. I don't know that one. I'll have to look that up. So there you go. 0758 says, Mike McCarthy, Robert Saleh, Kevin Stefanski, Mike McDaniel. Titans will fail if it's Nagy. Look what happened with the Bears, and we don't have Mahomes. Fair enough.
That's fair.
A lot of people think that way. So there you go. Justin and Greenbrier on the song would say, Aha, Take on Me, BTS, Dynamite.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Some more. Josh from Murfreesboro. Is it okay to say a cover? Prince doing While My Guitar Gently Weeps. What a solo. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Prince goes down as one of the probably the best guitarists of all time.
Yeah.
100%.
100%. Mike and Las Casas, Where Eagles Dare by Iron Maiden. The explosive drum intro is hard to beat. Josh and Donaldson says Linkin Park. Anything Linkin Park. Okay, cool. Let's see. Mike in Lebanon. Toto. We did this by seeing Toto because of Africa. Randy says Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. Saw them live 3 times in the 70s. It's a great song live.
Wow. Lucky man, Randy.
The Wreck of Edmund Fitzgerald by Gordon Lightfoot. That's a good one. 3337.
I think I've heard that.
7410 says a classic, Layla by Eric Clapton. 9756, Rush by Tom Sawyer, or Tom Sawyer by Rush. I read that wrong.
He put it that way, so it's okay.
0943 says anything by Meatloaf.
Can't go wrong.
So good. So keep these coming. 615-737-1025. I'm with 6799 on, like, if they hired Saleh with Raheem and Mike McDaniel, and look, anybody, if you bring the guru to come in and be the coordinator, you can't worry that they might be gone in a year or two.
Yeah,
you can't do that.
You have to be fully determined to just save for the long haul, and that's the mindset with anything, especially in the NFL. I mean, look, if they end up getting 2, like you mentioned before, 2 of the head coaching candidates as coordinators, or one as a head coach, one as a coordinator, that's great. I think the big combo everybody's looking at is if Saleh becomes head coach, then the automatic is McDaniel will be the OC. We don't know that for sure, but that seems to be the writing on the wall.
I'm glad that Gene and Spring Hill brought this up. Basically, he's like, why is everybody obsessed with Robert Saleh? He's 20-36, no playoffs in 4 years. That's fair. If you're only looking at that number, then you would probably be turned away. The Jets are a dumpster fire organization. He had Aaron Rodgers shoved down his throat. He has an owner that changes. I mean, look, I'm preaching to the choir here, but like an owner that changes his mind with the wind. So it wasn't a good situation. I think if you look at him as a coach, I thought in game he was fine. They had bad rosters. I think anybody that tells you, that has played for him is like he's a leader of men. He's a Vrabel type. And you have to understand, too, when Vrabel was hired, Vrabel did not have a great year as a defensive coordinator with the Texans. He's still got a head coaching job. Matt LaFleur did not have a great year as offensive coordinator here before he got the Packers job. So you can't always judge everything based on a win-loss record. I know winning is everything, but it doesn't tell you the full story. Yeah. And so I am very high on Robert Saleh based on other things. Now, I could be wrong. He could come here and be terrible. But I think he's a prime example, and McDaniel might be too, of a guy that just you have to look at the situation they were in, and if the situation is better here and Borgonzi's allowed to build a better situation here, then the result's going to be different.
Yeah, for Robert Saleh, the one attraction that about his qualities of being a head coach, obviously he's leaderman, whatever. But this past weekend, I think it was on following Monday on the press conference, he mentioned that last play against the Eagles, saying back in 2023, it's the same style of offense they've been running. He understood the concept. He had a gut feeling about it. And you know me with my gut feeling, Chase. I like those. They're great things. The fact that he's an instinctive coach, especially defensive coordinator, tells me he can do that at the head coach level, especially for the Titans. And that's kind of what the Titans need right now defensively is instinctive plays in the secondary and for linebackers.
There's a lot of people in the YouTube chat that love the Saleh McDaniel combination.
It just seems to be the writing on the wall.
But I think Saleh head coach, McDaniel OC.
100%.
But I'm not, I mean, again, the more interviews that McDaniel gets makes me wonder, does a team go ahead and give him another chance?
If there's a team out there that's willing to do it, go ahead. I mean, just off the top of my head, just a team that comes to mind would be like maybe the Browns. Like I feel like
I think the Browns,
because I wouldn't say it's a dumpster fire of an organization, but just the misdirection that they have a lot of times. And he's an offensive oriented coach. I think that fits a Shedeur Sanders style of quarterback. And maybe Tua wasn't the guy for McDaniels. Maybe a fresh start somewhere else, especially in Cleveland, because they have the defense to do it. Just get a little bit of some offensive production. They have the pieces. If Quinshon Judkins gets back healthy from his injury this past year, you already have Jerry Jeudy. You have Harold Fannin, that young tight end that uses kind of like an H-back this year. If David Njoku wants to come back and be a decent tight end for him, that's great. You have some core pieces. A young Tennessee player, I forget his name, is escaping me, wide receiver. I'll look it up here in a minute. But they have young core pieces like the Titans, but that are more along in their career right now.
Yeah.
I do have a little bit of news. There's a new name to throw into the fray. Adam Schefter just tweeted 2 minutes ago that the Titans are going to be interviewing on Sunday former Cardinals head coach Jonathan Gannon for the head coaching job.
I've seen that floated out there a little bit. So not, I mean, look, I hope not. I don't want anybody from the Cardinals.
Bless his heart. That's all I got to say is bless his heart.
I mean, half the time I couldn't even remember his name, so, but
just that guy in Arizona.
Yeah. Like what's his name? What's that guy's name? So there you go. Jonathan Gannon scheduled to interview. Cedric Tillman's who you're thinking.
Thank you. Yes.
By the way, more songs. 4859 once went to see the band Stryper based off Knowing Only to Hell with the Devil. Nevada Josh, Holler Boys by Ryan Upchurch. 6727 Anything by Kiss, best concert I've ever seen. They're really good. 3280 says McCarthy is a home run, no brainer, to be honest. And then Michael says, what about bringing in Mike LaFleur as a OC?
Mike or Matt LaFleur?
There's Mike too.
Oh, is there really?
Yeah, his brother is, where is he now?
Interesting.
Mike LaFleur is with the Rams. He's the OC with the Rams.
I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Yeah.
Again, it kind of follows in the Matt Nagy column for me. How much is Patrick Mahomes build out Matt Nagy when it comes to stuff with the Chiefs?
Yeah.
Same thing for Mike LaFleur. How much has the play calling of Mike LaFleur kind of counteracted with a Matt Stafford? How much has Matt Stafford bailed him out as an OC? So that's something to put into factor as well.
Our buddy Ricky says he thinks Gannon's coming in to interview to be the DC, essentially. That's fine. Wasn't he on the Eagles?
I think so. Yeah, he was also a quality control coach with the Rams at some point.
Yeah,
like 2011. They worked their way through the ranks.
If you're in the same room at some point in time with McVay, then you'll probably get a job.
Yeah, and look, if Gannon's going to interview, just interview for the chief bottle washer job, as Joe likes to say.
Whatever. 615-737-1025 is your phone and text line. Driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. The Game Nashville Sports Network is your home for the College Football National Championship Monday night. You can catch all the action on both 102.5 The Game and 94.9 The Fan as Miami takes on Indiana. College football's national championship coverage is presented by Twin Peaks and Parman Tractor and Equipment. More coming. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game. Chase and Big Joe 102.5 The Game here on this Friday. Sorry, forgot what day it was. I totally forgot. So we were talking during the break. Some like not great, mediocre coaches to get more than 2 shots at being a head coach. Mike Mularkey is one of the first that comes to mind. Was head coach obviously here, but then Jacksonville and Buffalo before that. And I was trying to think if Jack Del Rio was one. I totally forgot he coached with the Raiders.
Yeah.
He was Jacksonville and then DC with the Broncos, head coach with the Raiders, and then defensive coordinator with Washington after that. But that's really been
a short stint. Did you say with Jacksonville as a head coach? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he was there a long time, 03 to 2011.
That was with not Ricard. I'm thinking of
Byron Leftwich.
Thank you, Leftwich. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was there. Mularkey, was 2 years in Buffalo, 1 year in Jacksonville, and then 2.5 years here as the head coach. So John Fox, but he played in a Super Bowl. John Fox, or 2 Super Bowls, maybe. Carolina, Denver, Chicago. Lovie Smith. How many did Lovie Smith get?
Let's see. One with
Lovie was with Chicago, Houston, and I want to say there was another one.
Tampa Bay.
Yeah, that's right.
For 1 season, but then he went to Illinois right after
that. Yeah, I think 2 seasons. Yeah, and then Houston for 1 season.
I mean, y'all are right.
He had 3.
Looking at this picture, Lovie Smith.
I'm telling you,
there's a little combination there. Wow.
Romeo Crennel might be another one. Romeo Crennel.
Just grow the beard out, D-Mace.
Cleveland was head coach at Cleveland. He was head coach at Kansas City. And then he was an interim head coach with Houston. So you could count that.
Yeah.
But Romeo got a few chances at it. Ron Rivera, 2.
Yes.
Carolina and Washington.
Washington was twice, wasn't it?
No.
I know for sure it was Carolina 1.
Yeah.
Let's see. Carolina Commanders, yeah. No, just those 2.
I mean, Gruden was Oakland, Tampa, and then Raiders again.
Yeah.
So you can kind of count that, but he won a Super Bowl.
Did Ron Rivera step away for his cancer? Is that why I'm thinking he
got fired.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he may have missed some time, but he was still the head coach, but he so he's had it twice. I feel like there's more.
I mean, obviously Tony Dungy had multiple stints as a head coach, Tampa Bay, Indianapolis.
Yeah, that's it for him. Jim Caldwell, Indy, and Detroit.
Yep.
I think was 2. What about hang on. Let me think of another one.
Man, Jim Caldwell was a journeyman when it comes to his career history. Holy cow.
You could kind of count Dick Geron. I mean, he was with the Bears 99 to 03, interim for the Lions, and then Bills. So he had 3.
Yeah.
I forgot he passed away. But maybe him. So anyway, I mean, look, it does happen. McCarthy's about to probably get his 3rd crack at it. But again, he's won a Super Bowl.
It's true.
Schottenheimer had several. Pete Carroll has had several, but again, has won a Super Bowl. He's had 4.
Yeah.
Jets, Patriots, Seahawks, Raiders.
Wow.
And then USC.
Yeah. Forget about the college days.
Chip Kelly, didn't he get 2?
Eagles.
49ers? Or was he just the OC?
Might have been the OC. I'll double check on that.
No, I think he.
I mean, you could also include let's see here.
Yeah, 49ers for a year.
No. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. Oregon, Eagles, 49ers, UCLA. Those were his head coaching jobs.
If we're kind of including a little bit of college here, I mean, you could include Lane Kiffin a little bit.
Yeah.
if he wanted to.
Well, Lane's going to be the first to coach at 3 different SEC schools.
Yeah.
So that's something.
By the way, the portal right now between LSU and Ole Miss, absolute chaos.
I know.
It's a grown man's cinema. That's exactly what you want to see.
Somebody said Mike Ditka, but I think he was the head coach at Chicago and New Orleans. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying 3, basically.
Yeah. I feel like there are more on the list that we're forgetting, but it's a short list in a roundabout way.
Let's see. Let's ask Google what Google says. Bill Parcells, Marty Schottenheimer, Pete Carroll. We know that. But they won. Well, Schottenheimer never did, but you had Parcells, Giants, Patriots, Jets, Cowboys, Schottenheimer, Browns, Chiefs, Chargers, Redskins. Pete, as I mentioned, Patriots, Jets, Seahawks, Raiders. George Halas coached the Bears at 3 separate occasions. Joe Gibbs had 2 stints with Washington. Art Shell, 2 stints with the Raiders. I forgot about that. So, just a few. Dennis Green. Ricky says Dennis Green, Vikings, Cardinals, and Northwestern.
Yeah.
I forgot about Northwestern. Denny Green.
That's a little more before my time, but,
They are who we thought they were. Coming up next, we will talk to Chris Sanders, get his thoughts on all of this and much more with the Titans. Chasing Big Joe. Nick in for Joe today. 102.5 The Game. Hour number 2, Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game on this Friday. Chase McCabe, Dr. Crane, Nick Frazier today. He's in for Big Joe. And Brandon Bigsby on the ones and twos behind the glass. Let's say hello to the one and only forever Titans wide receiver. Chris Sanders joins us now. Number 81 in your programs, number 1 in your hearts. What's up, Chris? How you doing?
Man, I'm good, man. It's a good, cold, brisk day, but man, just happy to be alive and happy to be on the show each and every Friday. How y'all brothers doing?
We're good. When are you scheduled to meet with the Titans for their head coaching opening?
Yesterday I met with them.
Okay. Was
I'm just kidding.
Was it out in the parking lot? Like, hey, Chris, what were you doing here? Or?
It was a Cracker Barrel.
Okay. I want to start with this, Chris, because like obviously they have got to get this right with the head coach. But how much will a potential head coach presenting a winning staff help that guy get the job? Because I think the assistants are just as important.
They are, but here's the thing that you have to do. I think sometimes we focus so much on a big name, but it's not a good fit. You got to make sure it's a good fit, you know, with the head coach, but also with other people. But then you get the head coach in there, then he's going to bring his assistants in, and then he's going to bring an identity or a focus of what you want to do with this team. So I think it's important to have a great head coach and great assistants, but it has to be a good fit because everybody wants to get the big names and the big guy, and that's all great. But if it's not a good fit and you don't get good assistants in here that has the same vision that the head coach has, it's not going to work.
Well, you always bring up Les Steckel and how important Les Steckel was to your career. I feel like that is, you know, where whoever this next head coach is, you know, specifically looking at offensive coaches of how they're going to help develop Cam Ward and some of these young offensive players.
But see, the wild part about it is people want a guy coming in here that's yelling at people and screaming at people. That's not keeping people accountable. That's just being a loud coach. Les Steckel was soft-spoken, but he expects you to get it done. So when you're looking at a head coach, you want a guy that's relational with the players. You want a guy that's going to keep a guy accountable. You want a guy that's going to demand him to get it done. But it's not about screaming. It's not about yelling. It's not about cussing people out. It's about saying, okay, I expect you to run the right route. I expect you to read the right defense. I expect you to be on time on defense. Those are the things you want in a head coach. I don't want a coach to start screaming and yelling and, you know, making practice not fun. Yeah, you want to have fun, but you still have a coach that's going to keep you accountable and make you and bring the best out of you. That's the kind of cat that I'm looking for.
Les was your wide receivers coach when you first came into the league, I think maybe the first couple of years. How much did Jerry Rome help you?
Jerry Rome?
Yeah.
Jerry Rome used to cuss me out. That's what? That's why I kind of hesitate. Wait a minute. No, listen, great X and O's guy. But Jerry Rome let me have it. I mean, I walked in the building. He cussed me. I'm like, wait a minute. I just got here. So I just stepped in the building. But Jerry Rome was a great, great coach, X and O's and schemes and all that. But you want a coach that's going to pull greatness out of you, not scare you into doing something. And when you talk about, I'm so glad you brought Les Steckel's name up because Les Steckel was a guy that expected you to get it done. He looked you in the eye. He shook your hand and said, Chris, I expect you to run the route. I expect you to get the guy off the spot. I expect you to do that. So when you have guys like that and coaches like that, I'm not saying coddling guys. It's saying, you know what? I believe in you and I expect you to get it done. That's the next coach that you have to bring in.
Chris Sanders is on the line with us here on the Chase and Big Joe show. Chris, obviously the Titans made it known they wanted to somehow go and talk to John Harbaugh. Those conversations were kind of stopped because of the whole New York Giants situation, waiting on his name to dry on the contract right now. What do you think was the biggest turnoff for a guy like John Harbaugh with the Titans?
I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna say the good and I'm gonna say the bad. The good thing about it is you're moving into a new stadium in a year or so. You got a young quarterback in Cam Ward that's good. You got a defense that had a potential to be great because of Jeffrey Simmons. But I think the bad part about it, just is my opinion, and I'll say this in total respect, that there's no direction. You got to have a direction of where you're going. You got to have identity of what you want. You got to bring people in. Number one, everybody's got to be on the same page in the front office. So I just think that when you're looking at it as a head coach, if you have all this disarray, you just got fired from a different organization, you're going to come into something that doesn't have direction. I just think that maybe, that's just my opinion, and maybe that was a little turnoff of why he didn't want to come.
So when the reports were out there about the Titans getting on a plane and they're willing to match the $18 to $20 million a year is what it seemed like. Do you look at that as more of fool's gold for Titans fans to take, or is that actual some merit to those words?
I mean, it is. I mean, I don't know what Harbaugh was. I mean, that's a lot of money, and I just think that, you know, I mean, I know it's good about the money, 18, 20. I think that's great, but I just think that I hate to say this about him, but there's just not a clear-cut vision of where the Titans want to go. And I just think that I don't think it was about the money. I don't think it's, okay, I want an extra $500,000. Yeah, that's great. But you want to find a team that has a little bit of direction. I'm not saying the Giants are in the same position, but at least they're trying to do these things. I know the Titans are trying to do the thing, but at the end of the day, he picked the New York Giants. And I just think that, in my opinion, that's a great fit.
And on top of all that, when it comes to the Titans roster going into the NFL draft, just where do you see your eyeballs looking at certain prospects when it comes to just special players to add to this roster?
Yeah, but see, you need a whole bunch of players, and I'm not going to steal Derek Mason's thunder. They need some depth at every position. We got the quarterback situation solidified, but then you look behind him as Brandon Allen, and we kind of saw what happened when Cam Warren went down. And then you go to the left guard position. You got Skoronski. Then after that, you got Drew, I think it's Drew Reese or something like that, and you got Blake Hance. You don't know those guys. Then you go to the right guard position. You got Zeiler, which you know. You got Dillinger that you kind of know. Then you got Clay and Webb. I mean, who are those guys? You got to figure out and get some depth at those positions. And I think if you get some depth at those positions and some wide receiver positions also, I think you can start building a roster and build a team.
Chris, tell me about George Henshaw. How much did he help you?
Oh, listen, he'll cuss you out too. He gonna give you a cuss word. But here's what I love about Henshaw. He was so personable. He was so relational because he would yell at Josh Evans. He would yell at all those guys. But here's what he did. Is he made those guys better. He said, you know what, even though I yell at you, even though I'm cussing you out, I still love you as a human being, because there's some coaches that'll yell and scream and this and that, and all you got was yelling and screaming without any teaching. So I love Henshaw. I love what he brought, and just a great man to be around.
I'll ask you in all seriousness, because I know that this probably motivated you. I know it motivated Derek, but you look at DK, who is an all-pro as a returner now, and, you know, decent as a wide receiver. You have Alec Eilmanor, has a very good rookie year, but still one of the conversations is the Titans need to go find a true number one wide receiver. Do you remember when they signed Yancey Thigpen, Carl Pickens? I mean, bring guys in. What does that do for those guys when they hear that conversation and then eventually are probably going to see them bring somebody in?
Hey, mad as fish grease. You know how hot as fish grease is. It's really hot. So I was really hot. And let me take you to the scenario where I was at. I was watching the draft, and Joe Theismann dogged the whole receiving corps. Said, we're not good. We can't do this. So I'm sitting there with some of my friends, and we're looking at that, and the whole country's looking at that. So I'm furious. I was actually in tears. But here's what, if I had a chance to talk to DK and those young guys, and I'm hearing that, this is what I would do. And Jared would laugh at me about this. I would say this. You got two choices: to get better or get bitter. So once I understood that I'm going to play so well that you're going to have to play me, that I'm going to outbeat Dyson, I'm going to beat Yancey Thigpen, I'm going to do that. Not that I don't like them. It's just that I'm going to play so well that you have to play me. And that's exactly what happened. They brought a lot of guys in, but what I did as an individual, I had to put my pride and my selfishness at the door, but I'm going to play so well that you have to play me. So if I'm those guys and I talk to those guys, that's the message that I relay to those guys.
It's crazy looking at 2000. You had Kevin Dyson, he gets hurt.
Yep.
Yourself, Yancey's still around. Pickens is around. Some guy named Chris Coleman. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I remember him. Yep.
Some guy named Chris Jackson. Have no idea who that is. Lenny Ware. Have no idea who that is.
Who?
Exactly.
Sounds like a singer in the 60s.
Yeah, I know. But I mean,
Lenny Ware.
But look, I mean, the year 2000, that's when Derek finally got his opportunity, and look what he did with it. Listen,
Derek is a prime person to look at on how it's done correctly. When you talk about guys trusting the process, look at Derek. during the Super Bowl season, he was the sixth receiver, but he never complained. He never was sad. He never, yelled at the coaches. He just put his face mask up, put his chin strap on every day, put his pads on every day, and came to work. So when you come to work and do what you're supposed to do and have a great attitude, eventually greatness is going to find you. In my opinion, and I'm not biased or anything, I think Derek Mason is the best receiver to ever come in through the Titans, era of the Titans. I think he's the best. And the reason why he's the best, he trusts the process, and he's a tough joker, and I think he's the best.
Look, he's no Isaac Bird, but he's pretty good.
Isaac Bird.
Hey, I loved Isaac Bird. I don't know why, but
he just looked gross in his uniform, though.
Well, he always just like they would never throw to him, and when they did, he made like a clutch catch, and it's like, hey, Isaac Bird.
Every time, you're like, hey, there he is. But then I remember we played in 1999. We were playing the Atlanta Falcons, and he scored a touchdown. His dance is doing the bird. He did it for like 3 minutes, and everybody just walked away like, man, you dancing too long. Just go home, man. It was really, really funny, but just a great player, great human being, man.
Do you remember your wide receiver room in 2001?
Yeah, Carl Pickens.
No, he was gone. Pickens was gone.
Who was they? Was it Art Monk?
No, you had several rookies.
Who was it?
Eddie Berlin,
Drew Bennett, Justin
McCarrons.
Wow, great room.
Dice was back. D Mace, yourself, Chris Coleman.
Wow,
as well.
That is a good receiver room right there, buddy.
Yep. So it was a good time. You had tight ends: Aaron Kinney, Shad Meyer, and Frank.
What? So Harris wasn't there? Jackie Harris was gone?
I think Jackie was gone, yeah.
Wow.
I think Jackie was there the year before.
Okay.
Yeah. No? Maybe he was hurt. He might have been hurt.
Yeah, he might have been hurt. Yeah, I remember Jackie Harris being there. But yeah, we had some good players, man. I miss that era of football, man. It was just fun to be in the locker room and great coaches. Just everything about it was fun, man.
All right, who gets it done Monday night, Miami or Indiana?
Oh, I think Miami's going to win, but you can't count out Indiana. Indiana, man, they're just playing at a totally different level. I know I'm kind of contradicting myself. Miami has all the athletes, has all the speed, but then you have Indiana team that has the want to, that has the drive, that has no individuals, guys playing as a team. So, I don't know. Gosh, I'm gonna switch my pick. I'm gonna go with Indiana. I think Indiana's gonna win it. I think Indiana's gonna win it.
I think they're gonna win it too.
I do too. It's just something different, man. Just like the year we lost to the Rams, it was just something about that team. It's the same thing with Indiana. I changed my mind. I'm going Indiana 27, Miami 24.
Oh, okay. So a close one. All right.
Okay, pretty close.
Well, next week I'll ask you about Gennaro Di Napoli. So we look forward to that.
And Chris, thanks for not being in the car with your maps on behind. We appreciate you taking time for that.
Am I doing what?
For not being in the car
having
with
your
navigation.
navigation.
Maps in the back.
Oh yeah. Hey, guess who I saw yesterday?
Who? I knew that was coming. Chris Sanders, forever Titans wide receiver, joining us here on the show, as he always does every Friday. And we appreciate that. Yeah, I think every week we'll just name a former obscure Titan and get Chris to tell us about it. We'll react to some of that and much more. Plus, a little later, I got to complain about baseball. And I know you do too. We'll do that as well. 615-737-1025 is Chasing Big Joe, 1025 The Game. Everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man. Welcome back in. Chase and Big Joe 102.5 The Game. And this is perfect when talking about baseball. Kyle Tucker, $60 million a year with, oh, you guessed it, the Dodgers. As that news coming down late last night. And I just immediately, I texted our friend Ryan Porth and then Willie, and I said the same thing, and that was F the Dodgers. Because here's the deal. And if you're a Dodgers fan, congratulations. You've added yet another one of the best players in baseball and probably bought yourself another World Series. So congrats. It's time for something to change. Now Bo Bichette has signed with the Mets, 3 years, $126 million. I saw Real Muto going back to the Phillies, all of that. So a lot of these signings are taking place. But it's time to look at a salary cap. And I think that this Kyle Tucker deal all but guarantees there's going to be a strike next year when they, approach the labor agreement. It's not going to be pretty. We're going to go a while without baseball. It may last the whole season. I don't know, but it might. And ultimately, I hope that the result is a positive one, that they realize that to make the sport more fun, because there's going to be people that are going to just check out. I'm going to watch because I love baseball and I'm going to watch the Braves, but it's like, if the best, if one team can pay whatever they want, the luxury tax is a joke, and get whatever player they want, that's not fun.
Yeah, and it kind of falls into the perfect scenario for the Cardinals, me being a Cardinals fan. You look at their attendance this past season, it has spiraled down. And I don't know if that's because of the whole we're riding against John Mozeliak. Now he's not in a GM role. Now it's Chaim Bloom. But you look at that and say, numbers are down. You have the third lowest in cap room, I think, something like that. Dead money, $102 million in dead money. So that goes to show you that there are teams that don't want to be as invested as the Dodgers because they know they have the West Coast pocketbooks to say, hey, we'll defer almost $3-4 billion into this team. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I saw the payroll, the guaranteed money for the Dodgers is over $2 billion or something like that.
It's just stupid.
Just ridiculous.
Look, I get it. Baseball is fun when you have and
I don't blame the player.
No.
The rules are set up that you can get that. So Kyle Tucker, good on you, man. I don't blame you, but it's not good for the game.
No. I look at the Kyle Tucker deal, and I even mentioned this to you earlier. I think he might be the next Anthony Rendon. The fact that you're going to sign a 30-year-old player now that could be ending his career out in LA because, again, I don't think they're going to hold on to Teoscar Hernandez. I know there's the projections of their starting nine having Hernandez in left field and Tucker in right field and whoever else in center field. Maybe it's Pajes or whoever. But I solely see this lineup without a Teoscar Hernandez. That does offload some of their money on the books, but that doesn't really mean it offloads everything. It just goes to show you that you can finagle this cap anyway. Not even a cap. You can finagle the money any way you want. And it's just sickening because there are teams like the Red Sox, the Mets, even the Yankees in some aspects that can somewhat compete with them, but not to the same level.
The Dodgers. So is Bellinger next, I guess?
It seems like it, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. I know that the Cardinals recently moved off of Arenado and basically are eating, I think, $31 million of his deal. So it's basically just a salary dump.
Yeah, but look, I think that, there needs to be some sort of a salary cap. It's worked for other sports. It's worked for the NFL. It's worked for the NHL. It's worked for the NBA to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
You still have super teams and big threes and things like that. But I think if baseball adopted it a little bit, you'd have more parity, and parity is a good thing. Because you're not the thing that baseball has to understand, and I think they do. I think they're starting to. You're not the pastime anymore. And so it's you need to get a younger audience to like you. And yes, the, big bats and home runs and, the chicks dig the long ball that's a true thing, but you need to spread the wealth. One team should not have this type of lineup that they're going to have.
Yeah, and you look at teams like the Rockies, you look at teams like the Miami Marlins. Well, I will say in recent years, the Marlins were pretty decent under Skip Schumacher. They made a somewhat of a playoff push, and they moved off of Luis Ariz and all that stuff. But those are teams that become major league farm systems for other teams in the league. And you're thinking, then what's the point of having AA, single A ball? There's no point in that. So the fact of the matter is, this needs to end, and it needs to end quick. And if we're without baseball for 2027, as a Cardinals fan, I'd be okay with it, like I told you earlier, because the Cardinals are building from the ground up. So if they can do that and mature in a year off of baseball, I'm okay.
8149 says, enjoy 2026, no baseball in 27. And you're right.
Yeah.
0862, the Dodgers owner is not the richest owner. The Mets owner is. So why don't the Mets spend some money? I mean, the Mets have spent money. I just think they've spent it stupidly.
Incorrectly, yeah. I mean, the fact that you don't go grab a Pete Alonso again, and I get it. His bat has been, it's there. I mean, defensively, he is what he is. He'd be a first baseman in some aspects. Yeah. But you go sign with the Baltimore Orioles, who last year everybody thought would be somewhat of a dark horse team to make playoffs, and they didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So to go sign a Pete Alonso to that team, good for them. But the Mets, I don't understand the Mets either. I'm with you.
I think you're going to have more people this year cheering for the Dodgers to lose with that group more than they're going to be cheering for their own team.
Yeah.
That's where this is. Like, the Dodgers are truly the evil empire of baseball. Like, people hate them now.
And I hate that.
And I hate that for real Dodgers fans.
Right.
Because, like, if you've been I know several that, like Jim Wyatt, have been a Dodgers fan since they were a kid, and it's like they have to, now it's like, okay, but they
gotta face the music.
They know, like they totally know.
Yeah, and I hate it too because Mookie Betts, a local here in the Nashville area, grew up playing baseball in Una, went to Overton High School.
Yeah,
you hate it for a guy like that. Obviously, he's probably not hating it; he's loving it because that's
good for Mookie, but like,
there's no point of having the All-Star break anymore. Let's put it that way.
Well, I saw the joke that let me see if I can find it. Because I actually laughed earlier when I saw this. It was my some random Twitter account. MLB has announced a new 2026 All-Star Game format to feature the AL/NL All-Stars versus the Dodgers.
That works.
And you know what the sad part is? More people would probably watch that.
Yeah. It's turned into I'll compare it to Live Golf. Live Golf, when it first took off, all the big name golfers would go to that league and they get paid their almighty dollar, whatever they want. Baseball's kind of come to that a little bit with the Dodgers. And you're just thinking, how do you compete with that? And now you're seeing recently, you mentioned earlier this week, Brooks Koepka left Live Golf to go back to PGA. And there's some PGA golfers right now that are upset with that because they went to go get the cake and they can eat it in front of them in PGA golf, which is unfortunate.
8149, not only do they need a cap, they need a floor, and to kill the deferral crap the Dodgers are doing.
Yeah, deferred money's got to go away.
Yeah.
No more Bobby Bonilla.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. 7138, I think Nashville radio stations should have a salary cap on radio announcers so we can have more parity.
Hey, that'd be interesting.
What are you looking for that you don't have?
Yeah, I don't know.
I would think there's a lot of parity in this town.
There's a lot of
two major stations there's three, but that you got a lot of different opinions, different
different avenues to get your outlets for sure.
Yeah. 1880, will Nashville ever get an MLB team? Sorry, I missed the previous discussion on this, just tuning in. I say yes, eventually.
Yeah.
But this next CBA is going to set the future for baseball.
Absolutely.
And basically decide where it's going to go.
Yeah.
And once they get through that, then I think you're going to start hearing about expansion.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast with Rob Manfred, and he mentioned like when Vegas solidifies their new stadium and gets basically the Athletics moved there, they're going to restructure the locating of teams in the AL and NL, and they're going to do a geolocation mapping.
Yeah, I've seen all these things that have like the Braves in the American League and like all that, which I don't want to do that. But I mean, the divisions geographically do make sense, but I don't know.
I think when you start doing stuff like that is when you're going to see more of the expansions of teams come in. So if that is the case, Nashville seems to be top on that list right now.
Here's an interesting question. Well, we can talk about this next. What's the next league to expand? 615-737-1025. I have a thought, but I'm curious of what you think. Chasing Big Joe, Nick in for Joe today, 1025 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 1025 The Game here on this Friday. He's Nick Frazier. I am Chase McCabe. We'll talk to Greg Wyshynski coming up here at 2 o'clock, and I'll be curious to ask him about the Rangers because they basically said they're selling off. We'll talk about that in just a second as it relates to here. But next league to expand, I feel like the NBA is gearing up.
Yeah, it was either that or the WNBA recently, the Tennessee Summit.
Well, yeah, and
Yeah.
they just did.
Yeah.
But I'm talking like NFL, MLB, NHL, NBA.
It's tough. I
feel like MLS is always adding teams.
Yeah, they just recently. I was in San Diego the last season before. I'm torn with this one because the easy answer is NBA, but I just have an odd feeling that the NFL would be one of those leagues that say, "Hey, we're just going to expand 2 more teams to add on to it," just because they can do it.
Yeah.
Simple
Who'd you
as
say?
NFL.
NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think eventually you're going to see all these leagues try and get to 36.
Yeah.
And you're in what's going to happen, or even maybe one day even 40, because what'll end up happening is you'll have basically half will be over on one side of the country, half will be over, and then Canada, Mexico. You might have. Everybody thinks the NFL is going to expand to London. I don't know. I think they like I think the fans over there like that they get 3 or 4 games a year, and now they're in Germany and elsewhere where they can see every team.
Yeah.
Spain, yeah. So I think they like that of how they're doing it, but I'm with you. I think the NFL is gearing up for it. I think the NBA is next though, because they're destined for Vegas. I mean, they're going to be in Vegas. Vegas is going to have every team, every sport. Once that happens, they would have the NBA, the WNBA, baseball, the NFL, and the NHL. And my guess is MLS will be out there at some point.
Yeah.
So they'll have everything. I think baseball will, once they get this labor agreement done. The A's have been figured out. They still got to figure the Rays out. And then I think they're expanding, and that's when Nashville is going to come into play.
Yeah.
If the Rays don't move here, which could very well happen, but because I don't know, I haven't even looked what the latest with that stadium is, but
I think they just put the dome back on, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean the Trop. Yeah. So now it's like, okay, what do you end up doing there? But
right.
The NBA just makes a ton of sense that maybe do an East Coast team and then a West Coast team that's Vegas.
And if I'm Adam Silver, go to a market that has been hungry for basketball. Don't go to a previous market like Seattle, for example. They relocated the Supersonics, and you just if I'm Adam Silver, just find a market that hasn't been basketball worthy for the past couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Say, hey, maybe you guys are worthy of it, and just maybe take a chance on it, like how the NHL took a chance on Nashville being a hockey team.
NBA. See, the thing with NBA is like, I think it would work if you put a team in like either probably Louisville, but like Kentucky or Cincinnati, somewhere in there, like that's basketball country. I think it would work. That's the thing about the NBA. You're in kind of some non-traditional markets like Portland and Sacramento. Portland's another one that could probably support another sport at some point.
For sure.
Probably not the NFL, but, maybe baseball.
Yeah. They have the Portland Timbers there currently.
Yeah. So they have soccer and the NBA, right? Yeah. So, I mean, they could add another one. I think NHL probably not. They're too close to Seattle.
Yeah.
But that's one to watch, but could be interesting.
I'm just trying. I have the 50 states in my head. I'm just looking at what would be a good location for a new NBA team, and nothing's really dawning on me just right now. I mean, maybe a New Mexico. I mean,
yeah,
just trying to find out spots where it's.
I think Louisville or Cincinnati would make sense.
Yeah.
I always wonder about a place like Birmingham. Is Birmingham big enough to have something?
Yeah.
And what would that something be? Like I could see Charlotte getting baseball. Then they would have NBA, NFL, MLS, baseball, with the NHL not far in Raleigh. San Diego is always an interesting one. Does the NFL go back there?
Because they're testing
I think
it out.
they do.
They're testing out right now with MLS.
Yeah.
And of course, the expansion draft and all that.
They've had everything at one point in time.
Right.
I mean, they've had the NBA, they've had the NFL. I even think they had the NHL at one time.
Mm.
So they've had the AHL, I
Yeah.
think. But so yeah, so I mean, they, could they support everything? But like, we got a text that says bring back the Kentucky Colonels, an old ABA team.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Cincinnati Royals, So I mean, it's an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah. I mean, look, if there is a league out there, maybe the WNBA. I know that they've already kind of done their expansion per se, but like grabbing another market, I think would really put them over the top. I know Nashville's on the market. We talked about the Tennessee Summit a little bit, but you mentioned Vegas for the NBA. They already have the Vegas Aces. So if you can kind of counteract those markets along with the NBA and WNBA, I think that's the hotbed for basketball. Is if you can counteract markets to where they'd work, they should be all right.
Yeah. 615-737-1025. I heard yesterday DVD have a very interesting discussion about, and I want to wrap up the hour with this, about could Nashville sports fans handle a rebuild?
Ooh.
And Adam and Connor had a really good conversation about it. I think the answer to that question is yes, because they basically, like, the Titans have been in one, whether they want to admit that. Teams don't like to admit they're in rebuilds. They don't like that word. They think it's a negative connotation, which in some ways it is, because they're always going to point to, well, like in hockey, do you want to be the Sabres? Do you want to be the Red Wings? Do you want to be the Blackhawks? Like, it's taken a long time. Rebuilds are done very, they sometimes take a while. And if you're one of those people in an organization, you don't want to admit you're in a rebuild, because chances are you're going to get fired and somebody else is going to get the benefit of everything that you rebuilt.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I used to bring that up with Floyd, and Floyd would be like, I hated that term, because I'm going to rebuild it. You're going to fire my ass and bring somebody else in. Yeah. And which is kind of what happened.
Yeah. Essentially.
So what do you think? Do you think Nashville could take a rebuild?
No, I really don't. I think this is a city that's hungry for championships. Again, take it for whatever it's worth of how Nashville SC won their championship. That kind of subsided a little bit of some hunger there. But this city wants a major championship, like a Super Bowl or a Stanley Cup on Broadway. And if it doesn't come soon, I feel like I look at Nashville like a young Philadelphia fan base, impatient.
Mm-hmm.
That's simple as that. I think Nashville is an impatient market that is growing a strong attraction towards winning that has been lacking in this city. So if they can find it sometime soon, that will subside all the anger.
I mean, I see what you're saying, but I actually think Nashville has been very patient. They just haven't won.
Right.
I mean, there are no championships. The first one is Nashville SC with the
U.S. Open Cup.
The U.S. Open Cup. So, and you're going to have people argue with you about that.
Right.
So I think that this city is thirsty for a championship, and so therefore they have been patient. But you've kind of had, especially with the Predators and the Titans, they've been lucky enough that it's, the Titans have been a roller coaster, but they've had those years where they go down and then they kind of come back up, but they've never come back up good enough to win the whole thing.
Right.
The Predators have picked in the top 5, twice, 3 times,
not all
since the first year. So they've always been, good enough to kind of make the playoffs. And so I think that's always where the conversation comes from of, well, should they blow it up and just take it down to the studs and rebuild? I'm not for that, because again, I've seen it not work too many times. But I think the argument now is, again, you're watching the Preds right now play very well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they might go on a run and actually get into the playoffs, but are they good enough to beat Colorado, Vegas, Minnesota, Dallas in a 7-game series? I would say the answer right now today is no.
Maybe.
So it's just, again, it's kind of that, all right, do you want to be just good enough to get there? Or do you want to build a championship, a team that you think can
A contending team. Right.
compete for a championship. So we'll discuss this coming up next. 615-737-1025 and Greg Wyshynski at the top of the hour. Chasing Big Joe, 1025 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, presented by the Omni Nashville Hotel. We'll talk to Greg Wyshynski here in a few minutes. So, listening to DVD yesterday, really liked their topic of could Nashville handle a rebuild? I say they could, but I think the teams have to be truly willing to do it, and I just don't feel like that's necessarily the case. And that goes for any organization because, again, if you're a coach, if you're a general manager, why would you want to admit you're in a rebuild? Because chances are you're going to get fired, and then the next people are going to be the ones that get credit for it. So that's what has always – and here's a prime example of this. I'm going to read this entire letter. This is from Chris Drury, who is the president and general manager of the New York Rangers. This was put out by the Rangers a little over an hour ago. And it says, a message from Chris Drury to our fans. Quote, we wanted to take a moment to connect with our loyal and passionate fan base. We know and feel your disappointment with how the season has gone to this point. We are just as frustrated and want nothing more than to deliver an on-ice product you can be proud of. It's what drives us every day. No one in the organization is happy with what has transpired, from management to coaches to players. Over the last few years, we've had some successes and moments to cherish, but ultimately, it was not the end goal. We are working relentlessly every day to bring a Stanley Cup back to New York because that's what our fans deserve. With our position in the standings and injuries to key players this season, we must be honest and realistic about our situation. We're not going to stand pat. A shift will give us the ability to be smart and opportunistic as we retool the team. Here's the key phrase. This will not be a rebuild. This will be a retool built around our core players and prospects. We will target players that bring tenacity, skill, speed, and a winning pedigree with a focus on obtaining younger players, draft picks, and cap space to allow us flexibility moving forward. That may mean saying goodbye to players that have brought us and our fans great moments over the years. Panarin. These players represented the Rangers with pride and class and will always be a part of our family. As we start on this strategic plan, we will continue to play hard with pride and passion for our fans. We appreciate your unwavering support for the Rangers more than we can describe, and thank you for all that you do for our organization. You will begin to see some of our plans come to light in the coming weeks and months. LGR, Chris Drury. So he just told you they're going to rebuild with also saying this is not a rebuild. That's what organizations do. Nothing against it. It is what it is. But this is similar, I think, to what the Predators did a few years ago. They announced the transition that Barry Trotz was going to return to the organization, take over as general manager for David Poile. And then what they do? They traded away some players that have been here a while. And that, I think, in the fans' minds was the beginning of a rebuild. That team ended up, that with young players and AHL players, damn near made the playoffs. And then the next year, they kind of retooled things, and then they made the playoffs. And nobody thought that was going to happen. So, see, sometimes the players kind of, and Barry has said this, the players are going to tell you what they're going to do. I look at it this year with this team of, you can blow it up. I mean, you can probably get a first, another pick, and a really good prospect for Ryan O'Reilly. You can do that. But that's going to take, you have no center depth. That's going to take your number one center off your team. That's going to hurt your team. And you're not going to be bad enough to get it's a lottery, but you're not going to be bad enough to put yourself to be guaranteed a top 5 pick. You may luck into it, but you can't guarantee that with the lottery. If this was like the NFL, okay, we're going to have a different conversation, but it's not. Who knows what you could get for a Mike Bunting? You gave up a second-round pick last year to get him. You better hope you could get that back. So you could do that. Or, I would shop Marchessault because I don't think he's fit. So I would shop him if I'm being honest. And that's probably all I would do. I would not give up any draft picks or young prospects to add. And then you roll the dice and you just, whatever happens, happens. That's what I would do. Because I say that because I don't think they're going to trade O'Reilly. I just don't. I think he fits. I think they know he fits. I think he likes it here. I think they view him as a leader. And so there's so many times we have these arguments where you'll have somebody go, well, they should do this and they should do that. And I'm one of those like, okay, I know they're not going to. So why am I going to throw that against the wall to see if it sticks?
Yeah, you gotta let
Like,
it play
I
out.
don't think they're going to do that. So at this point, it's not a rebuild. It's not a retool. I mean, it's still the plan, as Barry Trotz always talks about. And I think you have some segments of the fan base that don't want that. And you have some segments of the fan base. It's like, okay, well, I'm just going to trust it and see what happens.
Yeah, and I'm on the side of, again, in the Preds direction, I see where you're at, and I agree to that. For the Titans perspective of it, I'm not on that same trajectory, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm on the opposite side of that. So to your point about the Preds, you're right. I think if they just hold on to what they have currently, and which is what it seems like it'll be, that's great. I would like to see them somehow finagle away and adding one player if they do find themselves in a wild card 1 spot. I know wild card 2 is definitely in the cards, but wild card 1's not too far off either. So if they can do that, I think their chances be a lot better in that position.
But here's the thing. And look, again, I am never, ever, ever, ever going to be okay with losing.
Right.
Ever. I want to win. And if this team goes into Denver tonight and beats Colorado, hell yeah. Like, hell yeah.
Mhm.
That would be fantastic. But I'm also a realist. And so you talk about, because you're not gonna get into the top 3 of the Central. It's just not gonna happen. Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota, too good. But if you get one of those 2 wild card spots, guess who you got to play?
More than likely Colorado in that wild card 2 spot.
You got to play either Colorado, Vegas, maybe Edmonton in a 7-game series.
Again, out of those 2 out of those 3 teams, I think are winnable 7-game series for
Of
Preds.
the 3, I'd rather have Edmonton.
Yeah, Edmonton
Of the 3.
or Vegas.
Yeah, but
I'm leaning on the Vegas side of things.
Yeah, maybe so.
Because the last couple times the Preds have played Vegas, especially it was New Year's Eve. That game was dead, especially out in Vegas. It was like a mid-afternoon game. No energy at all.
So Tampa has the best streak in the league right now. They've won 11 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
You know who's next? Vegas. They
Well,
won 6 in a row.
Those back-to-back overtime wins are a little convincing.
Yeah. No, yeah. But I don't know. I just think it's an interesting conversation about, could this fan base take a rebuild? I think for the most part, yes. But again, it's just the willingness to want to do it. And like right now, again, like if I'm in Barry Trott's spot, I'm like, we're winning. We're 3 points out of a playoff spot. It's like, I'm not going to just give up, because that's what it would be.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it could be viewed of, all right, here you go. I'm going to trade Ryan O'Reilly. I'm going to trade Bunting. I'm going to trade McCarron. I'm going to trade anybody with an expiring contract. And I'm going to bring up all these young guys. And then all of a sudden down the standings you go. And it's like, to me, that's throwing in the towel. Now, the Rangers, that's a different story. The Rangers are dead ass last in the Eastern Conference. So they've lost 4 in a row. Blow it up. I get it. You have no shot of making the playoffs now. That's where it's different.
Yeah.
Like last year when they got to the point where they were completely out of it.
Offloaded players.
There you go. But they're not at that point. So we'll talk to Greg Wyshynski about this and much more coming up next. Nick in for Joe today. It's Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game. Hour number 3, Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game on this Friday. Time to talk more hockey with our man Greg Wyshynski from ESPN, senior NHL writer for them. Brought to you by Old National Bank. Get old. Greg, what's going on?
What's going on, everybody? Well, I mean, what's going on is that the New York Rangers have released a letter to their fans again, letting them know that the retool is on. You know, if you do this twice in the same decade, I don't think that's really great news for your franchise. And here we are with the Rangers, basically, you know, announcing they're going to punt on the season and talking about the difficult decisions they'll have to make going forward.
But Greg, they're not rebuilding. Just remember that. They Chris Drury said it's not a rebuild, so everybody should be okay.
No, man. It's a retool. And so we've had a lot of different vocabulary words around the NHL recently. The Vancouver Canucks, as you know, they were retooling before they were going to go into a hybrid rebuild. And now I think they're just straight up rebuilding. But listen, you know, when it comes to the Rangers, like, one, it's hard to rebuild when you have some of the contracts that they have on their books. I mean, they're going to be able to get rid of Panarin. My understanding is that, you know, they don't intend to offer him a contract extension. He'll probably be traded before too long. You know, they could probably find a way to get Zibanejad off their books. And then, you know, I think Vincent Trocheck is probably the other really interesting name that could become available, just because I think he's such a Swiss Army knife of a player. You could see a contending team maybe want to dive in and bring him on. But I mean, like, you can't rebuild when you've got one of the best goalies in the world on your team, and Shesterkin's not going anywhere. So that's kind of the issue for them right now, is like, you've got to retool, because as long as you have Shesterkin, as long as you have Adam Fox, as long as you're stuck with JT Miller, and do have some good young players coming up, like Will Cooley, who's already on the roster, and Gabe Perreault, I actually think retool's probably the right word for it. Partially because of where they are, and partially because of what they can and can't do with that roster.
Do you know, here's the thing, because we were just talking about this, of our afternoon show had the discussion, could Nashville sports fans handle a rebuild? And my answer to that is yes, because the Titans have basically been doing it without meaning to do it for the last, I mean, you're a Jets fan, you know how this is, for the last like 3 or 4 years. The Predators, you know, David Poyle had the phrase competitive rebuild, which everybody kind of gave him crap for. Barry Trotz has, I think, tried to do a little bit of both at the same time, you know, adding young prospects, adding draft capital, while also trying to be competitive at the same time. And right now, you know, they're doing it. But, you know, if we're being realistic and they make the playoffs, I don't see you beating Colorado or Edmonton or Vegas in the first round. So it is kind of a catch-22. It's a tough position to be in, but you know, people that run teams don't want to admit it's a rebuild, because 9 times out of 10, they're not the ones that get to enjoy it once it's done.
Yeah. I mean, your last point's the most, I think, salient point, is the idea that when the rebuild's done, the person doing the rebuild might not be there, whether that's the coach or the GM. And, you know, when it comes to the rebuild, you know, it's funny. I do think that the Nashville market is one that will understand a rebuild and be down for what it takes to have one. And we can say that until Roman Josi is a Blackhawk.
Yes.
Right? Like until you start to feel the real pain of what a rebuild looks like, because a rebuild is not keeping around, you know, defensemen that are over 30. Like, a rebuild is not, you know, having Philip Forsberg teaching the young rookies how to fashion a good-looking mustache. Like, a rebuild is a deep cut, and it means that your favorite players are no longer on the team that you love. And so, like, yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of markets that are going to be down for a rebuild that maybe management doesn't believe that they could be down for a rebuild. But when you get down to brass tacks, when you get down to what the functionality of a rebuild looks like, it does become kind of a different animal than just talking about it in sort of the hypothetical.
So here's how I view Nashville right now. I think, unless you are and look, the market for Ryan O'Reilly could be big. I mean, they could get an offer that you just absolutely can't say no to for him. And if that's the case, then you have to have that conversation. but I'm not doing a whole lot to add anything. I would try and move Marchessault if I could. It hadn't worked. He's not a fit. You got to admit that at some point and see what you can get for him. And then whatever happens after that happens. You make the playoffs, great. Give it a shot. You don't, then you don't. But I'm not giving up draft capital or young prospects to add anything to go on a run.
No, and I don't think they should. I think what they've done to salvage this season and to make things interesting has been really impressive. And if nothing else, at least gives Barry a little bit of like cachet insofar as I'm not the disaster you all think I am as an executive. Ultimately, if they make the playoffs and just become a sacrificial lamb for the Colorado juggernaut, I mean, somebody has to. There are teams currently that are like, I don't want to be in that business. I think St. Louis is primarily the one I'm thinking of here. But you're right. I mean, I don't think that they should be buyers. I do think they should be sellers, especially when it comes to O'Reilly, because I do think that there are a number of teams that see a player like that and believe that that's a final piece of the puzzle type player. I mean, selfishly as a Devils fan, when you look at their center depth, adding Ryan O'Reilly would be astronomical for their playoff chances, I think. So yeah, I think you're right on that score. It's like they shouldn't be buyers, they should be sellers, and they should maximize the return on these guys as much as they can.
Greg Wyshynski is here with us on the Chase and Big Joe show. Greg, going into the Olympic break coming up, what team, I guess, benefits going into this break when it comes to trade assets along with rest?
Great question. I mean, I think rest could do a good amount of help for a team like Dallas that I think has been fighting through some injuries here and there, and I think probably has some holes to fill before they can actualize as a real contender in the Western Conference. There are some teams in the East that I think, Ottawa being one of them, that could probably use a little bit of a reset. And also try to figure out exactly what the Linus Ullmark situation is for them. He's an extraordinarily important player whose absence has led to a good amount of drama and controversy in the last couple of weeks for them. But overall, I mean, like, it is such an interesting dynamic to think about this break coming up and what it does mean for teams, not only that are struggling, but that are hot. I mean, like, if you're the Buffalo Sabres and you're just like a steamroller right now, like, the last thing you want is the Olympic break. You just want to kind of keep this thing going. And so it's going to be interesting to see who rolls into this thing with a little bit of momentum and who comes out of this thing still playing well or losing that mojo because of the break.
Hey, when I tell you this right now, Greg, hold your britches when I say it. The Colorado Avalanche are 2-3 in their last 5 games. Isn't that crazy?
I know. This is they fire Bednar. Like they've clearly lost the thread. They're just a ridiculous team. I mean, like, and what's scary about them is that some of the pieces that weren't really working earlier this season when they were still a juggernaut now are working. I think Brock Nelson in particular was a guy who didn't have a really good start for them and then has come back and been exactly what they've needed from a second line center. Probably like the best solution that they've had since Nazem Kadri left. And I mean, they're just scary good. I mean, up and down the lineup and probably only going to get better when that front office, which has shown itself to be extremely creative and have a real knack for making the right move at the deadline, gets a chance to dig in and make more moves.
What do you see out of Colorado right now when it comes to making moves at the deadline? What's a name to watch out for them?
I don't know if I have a name for you, to be honest with you. I mean, I do think that if there is a flaw on that team, it's probably in their bottom 6. I think they can be a bit more effective after you get past the top 2 lines. Whether that means bringing in a veteran, whether that means bringing in some, low cost, high return analytically help. I don't know, but to me, that's kind of where I'm looking in that lineup to really fill it out. Is probably in their bottom 6 because again, when the goaltending is healthy, it's fine. Their top 6 forwards are amongst the best in the league, and obviously what they do on defense all comes from Cale Makar on down. And the way they play is just overwhelming. I do think there's room for improvement in their lineup, but not much.
Greg Wyshynski is with us on Chasing Big Joe. Dean Evison shown the door in Columbus. Rick Bowness comes in off the TNT set, which I think is interesting. They were bragging about their coaching record from former analysts on TNT. But what did you think of that move?
I mean, I'm thinking of a different coaching tree, which is the last guy who coached the Winnipeg Jets and then quit, ended up winning back-to-back Stanley Cups in Florida.
Yeah.
So get a guy who was coaching the Winnipeg Jets and quit, and then see what you end up with. I mean, Evison, from what I heard, kind of lost the room a bit. He's not a bad cop necessarily, but he's certainly a guy that's a demanding coach. And I do wonder ultimately if his interpersonal connection with some of the younger players on this team wasn't where it should have been. And obviously when it comes to Rick Bowness, despite the age disparity between him and like an Adam Fantilli type, I think one of his real superpowers is that personal connection that he grows with players. And look, I mean, this guy's only a few years removed from being, up for the Jack Adams for what he did in Winnipeg as well. So he knows how to coach a good system as well. So, the problem in Columbus, beyond whatever was going on with Evison, has been they've had one good goalie this year. That's obviously not on Bowness to fix. That's on management. And then their third periods have been like horror shows, like, The Conjuring, like just those grisly, nasty stuff. And so if they can fix that defensive deficiency, then it's going to mean good things for them in the standings. And obviously already we're seeing a little bit of upward mobility for them after this change.
Do you think before the break we're going to see another coaching change somewhere? And if so, who would that be?
Oh man, good question. I don't know if we'll see one. I mean, I think a lot of these teams, I wasn't surprised it took us this long to get one because there's so much parity in the league. And at one point there was only 6 teams in the NHL recently that were under 500. I mean, like the amount of teams that feel like they're in it and that feel like they're within striking distance of a playoff spot tells you that there probably isn't going to be a large influx of coaching changes. I will say though that the fact that we're going to have a trade freeze or a roster freeze coming up with the Olympics, I think is the inflection point that you need to start seeing some movement here. And, one name that I'm well aware of, and I think a lot of people are well aware of right now, is Rasmus Andersson with the Calgary Flames, the guy that they've been shopping for the better part of a year and a half. It kind of feels like that's going to come to a head in the next few days and maybe within, the couple weeks before the Olympic break. And he's an interesting player. I mean, I think Dallas has always been a natural fit for him insofar as what they need on the blue line. I think Boston might be aggressive in trying to get him. There's a number of Vegas is another team. There's a number of teams that I think are going to be hot for this guy. And I think as we look at where Calgary is in the standings and with, like I said, the pressure point of the Olympic roster freeze coming up, I think a Rasmus Andersson trade is probably going to happen sooner than later.
All right. So follow me on this. Take all the bias aside. I think the Preds still won an OT tonight. I really do. I just got a weird feeling.
You know what? Listen, you got to trust your gut sometimes. It's the same reason I bet the Jets to win the Super Bowl before the season. You got to trust your gut. You can't think about what the odds makers are telling you. Who knows? I mean, it's the joy of this dumb league, right?
Yeah.
One is anyone could beat anyone else on any given night, and the other is that despite the fact that the numbers have kind of come back down to earth a little bit, we are seeing more games than ever in the shootout era go past regulation. Now, the amount of those games that are ending in the shootout is a little bit high for your boy because I do hate the shootout with every fiber of my being. But the number of games that we're seeing go past regulation, I think that last check, it's like 26% of games are going past regulation to overtime. And then once you get there, all bets are off. I mean, once you start playing in that 3-on-3 where one missed shot could all of a sudden lead to, 2 minutes of pure chaos. So, the OT part of your prediction is what intrigues me. But again, like in this league, any given night, anybody can beat anybody.
Yeah. Well, and I'm with you. I'm not a fan of the shootout. I'm not even a fan of the 3-on-3. Like, I'd be old school and play until there's a winner, but I hate ties, and ties should not exist in pro sports. So that's kind of the give and take there.
I just think they should expand the 3-on-3 by a couple of minutes. Like just do that and maybe implement some rules that make it more of a half court game. I mean, like I was watching the Devils the other night win in overtime, and like twice in overtime they passed the puck back to their goalie. I'm like, okay, Russian Red Army team from 1978. Like, okay, like you know what I mean? Like we can make some rules to make it so you don't do that.
Yeah.
And once we do that, I think we can recapture some of the magic that we all liked about the 3-on-3 earlier.
You could also do this and go to a different point format instead of just settling for the 2 points and have 1 point apiece. Go to a soccer format, and if you get a win, you get 3 points. And then the team, if they go to overtime, it bring more incentive to teams going for it later on in the last 5 minutes of the third period.
Hey, you're preaching to the choir, man. That's been a plank in my platform ever since they instituted the shootout. The idea that we don't value the first 60 minutes of a team game more than the gimmickry that comes after it is mind-boggling to me. And to me, it's like, if you've got a chance to get 3 and the team you're chasing can get none, like imagine how intense those games get as we get later on in the season. So you don't have to convince me. I'm a 3-2-1 guy. Unfortunately, the guy who needs to be convinced, Gary Bettman, is not.
Yeah, that is the unfortunate thing. Greg, great stuff as always. We appreciate it. And we'll talk to you next week.
Anytime, boys. Thanks.
Greg Wyshynski joining us here on the program from ESPN, presented by Old National Bank. Get old. We'll react to some of that coming up next. Sean Henry at the bottom of the hour. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game. Chasing Big Joe 102.5 The Game on this Friday, and it is finally Friday, as George Jones says. Appreciate Greg Wyshynski for joining us. We'll continue the Preds talk with Sean Henry here in just a few minutes. Pre-game coming up tonight at 7 o'clock as the Preds are in Denver to take on the Colorado Avalanche, as Homer Simpson once said. Vegas tomorrow. Robbie will have pre and post tomorrow, so gonna take a little Saturday off and let Robbie handle it. So
There
that
you
should be
go.
fun.
Robbie Stanley.
Old Rob. So looking forward to that. You'll also hear my conversation with Michael McCarron from earlier in the week tonight during the pregame show. So again, I got a weird feeling. I just think Preds steal it in OT. I know, like, Colorado hasn't lost in regulation at home all year, but I just feel like the Preds, they got one the other night against Edmonton. They play like that. We'll see.
You're probably on something. I mean, the last time I saw them play was that late puck drop in Nashville. It was what, 8:30 puck drop. Funny enough, I fell asleep in the second period, and some lady woke me up and said I had a sock in my hoodie. I don't know where that came from, but that was a fun game. It went to overtime as well. That was a 4-3 winner.
Yep. So we'll talk to Sean about that and much more coming up next here on Chasing Big Joe on this Friday, 102.5 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game here on this Friday. We'll catch up with Sean Henry here in just a few minutes, the CEO of the Nashville Predators, as they're back in action tonight. They will take on the Colorado Avalanche. This is a good song.
It is. Just let it play.
Oh, yeah. Leads us into our question of the day, which was a band you would go see based off one song. Like, it can be a one-hit wonder, it can be an established band, but like you hear that song and you're like, I gotta go see that band.
Yeah.
I said The Outfield with Your Love. I went a little more of a one-hit wonder kind of thing, but so that's a good one. You went with
Cutting Crew, Die in Your Arms.
That's a good one.
So
I heard Connor laugh at that one. What would you go with? Sabrina Carpenter or something like
something Man-Child.
Man-Child? You are a man-child, Connor Newt.
Not a man-child. But Sabrina Carpenter's got some bop. She's got more than one.
Oh, I know. Well, but it can be more than like it can be a one-hit wonder, or it can be an established song or established band.
On that. Give me 30 minutes.
I mean, look, I think if you would go with somebody else, say Phil Collins might be another
Easy
one.
Lover. There you go.
I feel like that'd be right up.
Although I don't
Connor's
think
alley.
Phil would do a show right now.
Yeah, probably not right now. But I mean, if there was health aside, Connor Newt's probably wheelhouse to be Phil Collins
Or Ronnie Millsap.
In the air tonight.
It's his birthday today, by the way. We'll get to that later on.
Is it Ronnie Millsap's birthday?
It is.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm a big Ronnie Millsap guy.
So am I.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love Ronnie Millsap?
Add a little pure love to your life.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Milk and Honey and Captain Crunch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So you can text those in 615-737-1025. 7606 says The Darkness, Believe in a Thing Called Love. That's a good one. Here's an old school one. You guys are probably too young for this. Chris says Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba.
Yeah, a little before my time.
You might know it.
If I heard it, probably.
I get knocked down.
Oh, yeah.
But I get up again. But see, nobody knows the name of that song.
Yeah.
Dixieland Delight by Alabama.
A lot of renditions of that.
Yeah. Alabama fans will enjoy that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Several. We're in a bit of a four-corner stall here.
Willie, you got my dry cleaning. I love that.
That's okay. So we'll get back to that. Do you think I'm crazy for my prediction tonight?
No, I think you're I wouldn't say spot on, but you're in the right direction. I think you're in the warm area of the prediction. I mean, look, Colorado, like I mentioned to Greg, they're 2-3 in their last 5. It'd be a little concerning. Obviously, their last game they played was Monday night, and that was a tight one in some aspects. So for the Preds, they've been on pretty decent form lately. I was at that Edmonton game. They looked good. So we'll see what happens.
Let's talk to Sean Henry now, the CEO of the Nashville Predators, who joins us now. Sean, what's up? How you doing?
Doing well. How are you guys?
We're fantastic. I am not Wally Pipp this week. Big Joe is. So just so you know.
You never know, man. When a legend steps in the lineup, you may never get back in.
That is true. Speaking of a legend, and it's one of those things that like I knew and I had it like filed away that it was coming up, but Roman Josi is 4 games away from 1,000 in his career, all of those games with the Nashville Predators. And I cannot wait for this, because if ever there was a guy that probably hates to be honored but deserves to be honored, it's Roman Josi.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. You know, like most captains that are great captains never want it to be about them. But this is one of those ones where he will enjoy, because, he'll have his kids with him, his family. And this is a lot more than an individual player doing 1,000 games. This is his entire family that has gotten him there. He and his wife, Ellie, there's a lot of commitment you got to, make and give up. To play 1,000 games in our league, it's only been done, 160, 170 times, whatever the number is. And for one team, it seems no one really knows how many guys have done it with one team, but it's I think in the 40s or 50s. So it's really incredible. And how lucky are we to be able to watch him his entire career so far play for our team?
Oh yeah, and I mean, like I can sit here and say, from my perspective, our careers have basically lined up. Like I was just starting to cover the team when he came up, and so we've kind of developed that relationship. And he's always been a pleasure. Like he has been one of the nicest people to talk to in the locker room, to the point of you walk in and he's asking you how you're doing, which is really really cool.
He is one of the kindest people I know. I mean, truly, truly is. He always has time for other people. There are so many people when you sit and talk to him, you can tell they have somewhere else to be for whatever reason. Not Roman. I mean, he can be, late for one of the most important things in his life, but he's never going to walk away from you. He's just a really incredible person. And what I really enjoy about him is how he talks about your careers being parallel. He talks about it all the time. Me and Chasers started together.
I'm sure he does. By the way, Nick Barnowski is doing a great job, because he says Roman will be the 84th player to play his first 1,000 games with the same team.
Yeah, I think Nick might be wrong, but we'll worry about that another day.
The other thing too is, like with Pekka Rinne, we all knew, okay, he's gonna, when he's done, like probably first number in the rafters, and could be a statue and all that. With Yossi now, it's like we're at this point, like, well, okay, what's he gonna get when he's done? Even though we hope that that's a long way away.
Yeah, I really do hope I'm retired when we're planning that ceremony. And the way he plays, I mean, he's just so fluid. You could see him skating, for forever. I mean, he's just such an effortless guy. Obviously, a lot of effort goes into it, but it looks that way. And again, hopefully when we have those celebrations, it's years and years from now. But I remember the day, Pekka retired, you were all over me. Like, where's the statue going? When is the retirement ceremony? And, when you have incredible players that have defined your franchise, it's good to celebrate them. But for now, let's just enjoy his career, because it's still going hard. I mean, he is playing so well right now. Our past 20, 25 games, whatever it's been, he and Saros and Forsberg and Stamkos and O'Reilly, they are just playing incredible hockey, and it's fun to see.
I remember what I said to you, and I remember what you said back, because you guys announced that the number was going to be retired, and I texted you, I was like, well, who's next? And you're like, can we get his up there first before we decide who's next? I do remember that.
How patient we all are. Yeah, it's like, passionate fans and people. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, let's enjoy tonight's game and tomorrow's game, and the game come back on Tuesday, and knock on wood, we know exactly when the day is going to be, so we celebrate at the next game with his entire family, because those are special. We just celebrated, Stammer's 600th goal, and to see his parents and his kids and his wife, just surrounding him, and then his teammates, the joy they take out of it, it really becomes a whole organizational celebration.
Sean Henry's on the line with us here on the Chase and Big Joe show. Sean, we'll get to the darts here in a little bit. I promised you more updates on that. But the Preds obviously on a great run right now. I was at the game this past Tuesday night when they took on Edmonton. Obviously, the bobblehead night, Dierks Bentley, his daughter performed the national anthem. What a spectacle that was. It obviously, music runs in that family. Just what a wonderful night for that family in general.
Yeah, it really was. And his son, who's a junior Predator, he was also the blue liner of the game. So they really permeated the entire broadcast and show and the game itself. And how lucky were we to have him choose to live in Nashville and do so much in the community and really just love our game. He really is a special man, and it was fun just talking about, Yossi's family and Stamkos' family. It's the same thing. To watch Dierks have fun with his family in a game that we all love so much, it was one of those special nights too. And what a game. My gosh. That might have been the most fun regular season game I've seen in a long time. Now, if we lost, I still would have said it was an entertaining game, but I don't know if I would have used the word fun. But, man, what we did on defense, shutting down Connor McDavid, I've never seen that before. I mean, it was incredible.
Yeah, a lot of people want to see the big marquee names in all of sports. If it's Ohtani, if it's Gretzky back in the day, McDavid is the now. He is the marquee name, and the fact that Preds basically shut him out in some aspects and got the win is even more impressive.
Yeah, it really is. And, Drysdale, unfortunately, we can't shut out. I mean, I think that guy has 9 points a game against us. He is something to watch as well. But it was almost like Legends Week. Sunday you had Ovechkin in the building and watching he and Stammer score from, their office, if you will, in the same game. That was pretty special, too. And, again, because we won the game. But who knows? It might be the last time he ever plays in Smashville. So, you hate to see anyone score, but it's okay to see him score once if you win the game.
This is a fun weekend because you got Denver and then Vegas tomorrow and back-to-backs. I would expect we're going to see some Preds fans head out west this weekend.
I assume so. No one's really registered their travel plans with me, but I think you'll see the right color gold in Vegas, no doubt, and quite a few in Colorado. I don't know if you saw the Toronto-Vegas game last night. It looked like there were 15,000 Toronto fans there, all to boo Marner. I've never seen anything like that. I don't know if you saw the highlights yet.
I did.
But it's worth going back and taking a look. My goodness, they took over that building.
I tell you the thing that has always stood out to me, I went to a Preds game one time probably 12 years ago and was sitting with Edmonton. They were playing the Oilers, and I was sitting with Edmonton fans, and I'm like, you actually live in Edmonton? And he goes, and they're like, yeah, it's cheaper to fly to Nashville, buy tickets to the game than it is to go to an Oilers game in Edmonton, and same goes for Toronto. And I feel like it's like that in a lot of different places. So whenever you play one of those Canadian teams, you see a ton of their fans.
Well, yeah, we try to preserve our pricing as low as we can. Obviously, it's still an investment by people, but pretty proud of the fact that we have, one of the 3 or 4 lowest average ticket prices in our league. So that's really important. It's if you buy some type of a package, it's a good way to save. I hate when I hear it from Edmonton fans or whatever other fans you're going to mention, because we really do it for our wonderful fans in Smashville.
Big Joe wants to know, he has texted in, and I don't know if we should allow him to ask questions when he's not here, but he's moving his son in for college, so I guess I'll give him a pass. He wants to know if, the players all have nicknames for each other. Do you have front office nicknames? Like, does Governor Haslam have one? Do you have one? Do you call each other by nicknames?
I'm sure I have a lot more nicknames than I know about. I probably wouldn't love them all. But, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess we do, but not for public airing. But Joe is something. Tell him to go move his son in, shed his tears, leave us alone for the day. By the way, I loved your show yesterday between Herm Edwards and one of my favorite people in the city, Neil Orn. That was good. It really was.
We had fun with Neil. That was cool. I'd met him a couple times, but hadn't really gotten to spend a lot of time with him. And I kind of got to sit back and listen to those two tell stories, which is always fun. I mean, so yeah. Thank you. Yeah, we had fun with it.
But I wish next time I have Herm Edwards on. For gosh sakes, tell Joe to shut his pie hole. If I have to hear about that stupid Joe Pisarcik fumble one more time, I mean, it truly was the first time a football team broke my heart. I was, 11 or 12 years old, thinking, oh my gosh, we're going to do something called the playoffs, something they never did in my lifetime. And then a guy that, obviously was a sleeper agent because he went and played for the Eagles the next year. I just didn't understand what was happening. So tell Joe, thank you.
I will pass that along to him. Do you have any parting words for Major League Baseball and how they need to get some things figured out with all these contracts being handed out?
You know what? We all have our own challenges in all of our sports. So I enjoy signings. I enjoy getting excited. And just like you, almost sitting like on a corner bar stool, arguing over whether or not the Dodgers should have done that or, what's the biggest challenge. My issues with my own Yankees right now. We're considering doing a break for a little while. So it's hockey season, though, so I'm not really worried about the NFL draft and all your goofy fantasies, and nor am I worried about catchers and pitchers reporting in 6 weeks.
Okay. All right, that's fair. That's a fair analysis. Sean, appreciate it as always. Enjoy the weekend. Let's get 4 points, and we'll see you back at Bridgestone coming up Tuesday.
Amen, man. Look forward to seeing you on Tuesday, and let's enjoy these 2 games. This could be a really fun week of hockey. It's the goal is to win the week each week. We're 1-0 right now, and we got 2 more games and kind of big ones. Playing some of the league leaders back-to-back nights, so it's going to be a really nice test.
Indeed, it will. Thank you, Sean.
Thanks. Have a good weekend.
You too. Sean Henry, the CEO of the Nashville Predators, joining us here on the program. We'll come back with What Day Is It and Celebrity Birthdays next. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game here on this Friday. Really quick, DraftKings Sportsbook posted they asked AI to predict the NFL coaching carousel and then their record in 2026. Mike Tomlin to the Ravens, 11-6. Clint Kubiak goes 7-10 with the Titans. Harbaugh 10-7 with the Giants. Deion Sanders 9-8 with the Falcons. Robert Saleh 10-7 with the Dolphins. Jesse Minter 6-11 with the Cardinals. Kevin Stefanski 9-8 with the Steelers. Brian Flores 9-8 with the Browns. And being raised from the dead, Vince Lombardi goes 14-3 with the Raiders. So thank you, AI, for that. With that, let's get to what day is it and celebrity birthdays, and we got to move quick.
All right. First, let's we have Appreciate a Dragon Day. People do that from time to time.
Yep.
Book Publishers Day, International Hot and Spicy Food Day, National Fig Newton Day, delicious. National Quinoa Day, National Good Teen Day, National Nothing Day.
That's me every day.
National Without a Scalpel Day, for the doctors, give little scalpel things. Psychiatric Technicians Day, Prohibition Remembrance Day, and Religious Freedom Day. So there we go.
Okay. All right, there you go. Celebrity birthdays today will be conducted by Dr. Crane and Brandon Bixby, and I will take on each other. So
all right.
I will let Brandon go first since he's not doing this every day.
Yes. First on the list, we have Swedish politician Lena Ek. How old is Lena Ek?
I'll be honest. I'm not sure. 58.
All right.
Who the heck is that? I will go with 48.
68. All right.
Okay.
Director John Carpenter. How old is Director John Carpenter, Chase?
John Carpenter, 74.
78.
On the money, 78 he is.
Oh,
okay.
nice. All right, so
next
2-0.
on the list, we have actress Debbie Allen. How old is Debbie Allen?
62.
74.
You're on the board, 76. All right, 2-1. All right, next we have actor Richard T. Jones. How old is actor Richard T. Jones, Brando?
Let's go 73.
77.
54.
Nice.
All right, last of the celebrities before we get to the sports. Model Kate Moss. How old is Kate Moss?
41.
38.
52.
Nice.
All right, on to the sports birthdays. Cliff Thornburn. He is a pool player, also known as snooker. So,
Am I up?
yes. How old is Cliff Thornburn?
56.
49.
78.
Nice.
All right. This is a former soccer manager, Martin Joel. How old is Martin Joel, Brando?
67.
71.
70. We
Oh,
have a tie
all
ball
right.
game. All right. Next on the list, we have Kevin Ross, former NFL safety. How old is Kevin Ross?
Kevin Ross, let's go 55.
60.
64. Close but no cigar. Pitcher in MLB, Garrett Hill. How old is Garrett Hill?
Is he a current pitcher?
Current pitcher, yes.
That's what I thought. 33.
34.
30. I thought you were going to say 30. And last to wrap it up, we have a stalemate here, 2-2. Joe Flacco, the infamous Joe Flacco. How old is Joe Flacco, Chase?
Flacco is 42.
36.
41. And Chase McCabe gets it done at the buzzer. 3-2 to end the week.
I thought it was somebody's birth, country music artist.
Oh, I forgot. Hang on. Hold up. I forgot. I totally forgot. Sorry. Ronnie Millsap. How old is Ronnie Millsap today, Brandon?
Let's go.
Sorry.
I'll be honest. I don't know who Ronnie Millsap is. 70.
79.
83. And we still end with a 3-2 win for Chase McCabe.
Okay.
You don't know who Ronnie Millsap is?
No, I only have gotten in the country more recently. So I still have to get back into kind of the older generations of country. I'm still getting into it.
So. I got you, Brando. Don't worry.
I mean, Smoky Mountain Rain is one of the greatest songs of all time.
Oh, I didn't know he was the one that did that song.
Oh yeah.
I'll help you out.
I wouldn't have missed it for the world. That's another one. That'll make you cry. As Joe would say, that would bring a tear to a glass eye. So there you go. That is going to do it for us today. Great job, boys. Big Joe will be back on Monday. You and Connor will be in for Jake on Monday as well. You got Weekend Huddle tomorrow, so looking forward to that. Adam Vingan and Connor Newton and Willie Donick coming up next. And as always, men, we're going into the weekend. No Sunday scaries. We're here for you. You can go to unitysite.com/Big Joe. Also call 988 on your cell phone, because it's okay to not be okay, but talk to somebody, because we want to celebrate you. And as always, as Joe says, we love you and God loves you. That'll do it for us. DVD coming up next on 102.5 The Game.